So everyone thinks this Light Emperor, this Arathi Empire is just some small island that we have not discovered yet, but a brand new book from 11.1.5 challenges everything we have known. It talks about their ancient history when they were ruled by an Empress, on how distant enemies attacked them and they sent all of their soldiers to this great battle, heavily implying that this might have happened on another planet. Furthermore, they were attacked by dark forces in their homeland at the same time. Seeing that they split some 2000 years ago from the Eastern Kingdoms and we don't know anything about this event, could the Emperor himself not even be on Azeroth? Have they potentially colonized a different planet? They will explain why they're so technologically advanced, knowledgeable about the cosmology, they got their own chart, and a whole bunch of other things we've been seeing. So what is this new information? You can actually play War Within on your phone with Awesome, this video's sponsor. Check in on your characters or just play the game, as you can control your PC with your phone completely free. Awesome is super easy to use. Check out the link and download the PC and the phone app and just connect it. The free version itself is amazing. You can control your desktop, transfer files, but the real deal is the game version. It has custom keyboards for various games other than just WoW, and you can enjoy AFK gaming at any time, anywhere with game sound. Make sure to use my code ON to get 7 days completely free, only for the first 200 people. Startable Gaming is they got hot sales up to 40% off on Pro and game versions. Check out Awesome. So we've been going on about the Arathi Empire on the other side of Azeroth for quite a while now, but a new book recently came out that puts a big question mark to everything we currently know. So the known lore is that the Arathi Empire was formed on the Eastern Kingdoms, they united with Talas to fight in the Troll Wars. At some unknown point in time, a group of humans and elves banded together, traveled beyond the sea, and formed their own colony, or as they see it, the extension of the Empire. Interesting enough, as I said, they don't consider themselves an offshoot of the Empire, but they consider themselves the Empire and their Emperor as the Emperor. Now, even here, there were some hints that they may be a little bit more than just another island kingdom. We've learned that they refer to the Eastern Kingdoms as the Old World and Arator as Old Arator. Keep in mind, Old World, not Old Land, Old Kingdom, or Old Continent. Now, the lore continues that their emperor got a vision over a decade ago and sent this expedition to Hallowfall. They were traveling over the storming sea when suddenly they were teleported by the light into Hallowfall. Upon their crash landing, they lost all of their mages that were supposed to connect them to the mainland. Now, keep in mind, this is literally a half-destroyed expedition stranded underground, stuck in an endless war with the Nerubians, and you can see how still powerful they are. They still got incredibly advanced ships, architecture that is incredibly intricate, and the weapons they currently use. Through conversations, we've learned that what we can see here is nothing like their actual homeland. We were told that the Empire is vastly more powerful, rich, and advanced than what we can witness right now. We also learned that their leader is called Thoradin IX, and he's hundreds of years old and very likely an elf or a half-elf, half-human. Something is also going on with him with the Arathi prophecy, but we'll get to that in a bit. To add more to the cosmological side, and we'll get to the new book in a bit as well, is that there have been a few other weird hints. First of all, they got their own cosmology chart, and they kinda laugh at the outdated way we view the cosmology so far. They know quite a bit about the elements of the universe, how they mix and match, and not just on Azeroth. Last guys we've seen that knew a little bit more about the cosmology were the brokers that were able to transcend that realm. Furthermore, an interesting observation is the fact that they lost their mages that could make portals. Now think about this, we got a bunch of mages right now with us, allied with them, but obviously they're just not opening the portal. Think about it, Dalaran, like literal Dalaran, crash landed on their shores and the strongest mages, most knowledgeable ones from Azeroth came here. Could they have not just coordinated with Arathi to make the portal already and to bring in the reinforcements? I feel like this portal could potentially be transdimensional, or it may not even be an Azeroth portal, and as you may know, that changes everything. Every mage that is a bit more advanced can open a portal to a different part of Azeroth, but not everyone could open the dark portal to Outland. However, here it gets really good. So with 11.1.5 we got this really interesting book shedding light on their old history. It is called A Spark of Radiant Flames, and it talks about how the flame's radiance is a reminder that even in the darkest of times, a single torch can burn away darkness, and then they remember their old history, which is definitely not our own history because we never heard about this event happening on Azeroth. It says that long ago, in the age of turmoil and strife, distant enemies moved against their great empire and they determined to meet them head on, so the Empress rallied her armies and summoned every soldier they had at their disposal. Keep in mind a few things here. As far as we know, these Arathi guys split some 2000 years ago max, and at this point in history they say long ago, so this must have been some time when they were ruled by an Empress. So Thoradin the Right might just be one of the rulers. They might not all descend from the Thoradin, because now we learned there was an Empress. However, we don't know of any distant enemies moving against Azeroth in this time period, aside from the Legion invasion, but that just happened. However, the document continues. The collected might of the Empire marched off to war with the light of their torches, and those left behind were plunged into darkness. So, without any soldiers to guard them, threats in their proximity started attacking them. It says, as the shadows closed in, the old, the crafters, the farmers, the laborers gathered around. The old war veterans lit the first torch, and they said that the light of the Empress may be distant and faded, but the sacred flame still burns. Darkness may close in, but we bear our own flame. We shall not falter. With their flames, the weak united, great battles were fought, and many homesteads were lost, yet the Empire survived. When the Empress returned from this expedition with her army and the light returned, they mourned. The Empress was blind to the threats within as she focused on outside threats, but she was impressed by the sacrifice and thought it was worth a sanctification, so she called the flames radiance, and the edicts were sworn to protect the young and the old. Should they be threatened like this again, this same edict would be decreed. Now, cool little backstory and all and everything, but is anyone literally noticing the fact that they mentioned in the document that distant enemies were after them and they met them head on, and the entire Light Empire army wasn't even close to their mainland? I don't know about you, but to me this sounds exactly like the Army of the Light. I mean, the Eredar one we could encounter back in Legion. Remember at the start of the document, distant enemies moved against their great empire. Let's keep a few things in mind. There is the entire theory that they may be on Avaloran, the other side of Azeroth, but unless this place is absolutely huge, there is no way this gigantic battle happened on Azeroth that we didn't know anything about. What is this great threat of darkness that threatened an empire on Azeroth that we never heard about so far? They're talking about such a large battle that took every single soldier they had. We also know that the Emperor receives visions just like Velen, which are from the light, but not exactly bound to Azeroth. I think it is now entirely possible that these Arathi guys may not even be on Azeroth, that their main empire could be on another planet, or if they are on this undiscovered continent, that they went outside of Azeroth to fight this distant enemy, similar to the light traveling army of the light. Actually, when you think about it, this makes complete sense. I mean, the army of the light is this trans-dimensional army that goes across planets, but from the various books we've learned that this army had battled the void on countless occasions, and there are also various factions of it. For example, Yrel formed her own light army on alternate Draenor after we left back at the end of Worlds of Draenor. It is entirely possible this empire on Azeroth may have been in a similar scenario, as they had established their army and followed the visions of the light, so they started working on a similar mission. Keep in mind how they just instantly sent this giant expedition to Hallowfall and how they were essentially teleported by the light there. I mean, the document states that the light teleported them there. I'm almost certain that this is in fact not the first time they had sent expeditions outside of the mainland. I really don't think they're just on the other side of Azeroth, on just Avaloran that we're talking about. I don't think it's impossible, but they may have legit moved to another planet and they have their outpost there, or they may have some sort of trans-dimensional ways of travel. Keep in mind, they're talking about how a dark force was after their empire, and this happened within the past 2000 years. You would imagine they would have definitely known about this invasion, because they wouldn't just attack the empire, they would attack the entirety of Azeroth. Now, the Storming Sea itself is a big mystery. I mean, we could literally just be talking about a few undiscovered islands similar to Khazlagar that are beyond what appears to be this magical barrier. However, it is also entirely possible that this is like post-World Soul Saga, and this is in fact the actual other side of Azeroth, and there may be a continent as big as Kalimdor out there that have been living on Azeroth together with us in this parallel history. So it is entirely possible that the Arathi Empire is legit powerful. However, if they they are based there, and if the Emperor is on Azeroth. Based on this document, I'm almost certain that they're so technologically advanced or empowered by the light that they can send expeditions outside of our realm of existence and into other planets. I somehow feel like if we go to Karnesh, which is the Void Planet, we might in fact discover yet another expedition the Emperor had sent. However, something I talked about in the previous video, and you can check it out in detail, but what is going on with that Arathi prophecy? It stated when the light fades, the last light, very likely Beledar, the Emperor's crown, will weigh with the sins of 1,000 years. I mean, this heavily implies that this guy might not in fact be good. So the entire idea, where everyone thinks this is just some island empire, may be false. Guys, we legit may be looking at an entire new planet or an army as strong as Real's army. These Arathi guys may actually be stronger than our factions combined, and whether they're going to be good or bad, only time will tell. Thanks for watching. Check out more details on this Arathi prophecy where I analyze everything by clicking on the screen, and subscribe to my raid channel by clicking on the screen as well. See you next time!